Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to dismantle an economic nuclear test that is changing the world, the Trump tariff war. You think this is just a continuation of the trade friction between the US and China? Wrong. When Tesla raised prices by 37%, Vietnam's ports suddenly filled up, emergency layoffs the German factories. Behind these seemingly isolated events lies the US's great reckoning with the global order. Today, we not only want to see the dark war of the dollar behind the tariffs, but also to predict how this big gamble will affect everyone's wallet. Ready to turn perceptions upside down? Let's go. Pay attention to this number, 104%. That's Trump's latest tariff on Chinese electric cars. But the truth is hidden behind the tariffs. It's actually the dollar itself that the US is really trying to hit. Here's a startling paradox. The stronger the dollar gets, the more American factories are flowing. Just like the 1985 Plaza Accord, the US had united with 5 countries to force down the dollar to save the manufacturing industry. But this time, Trump is playing even harder. He's going to create a global economic tsunami with tariffs, forcing countries to re-sign currency agreements. Look at this curve. The dollar index plunged 5% in March 2025, but the US Treasury actually secretly applauded. Why? Because they've done the math. As long as manufacturing returns 1%, the loss of dollar depreciation can be made up. But here's the problem. Now the world holds $34 trillion of US debt. Every 1% devaluation of the dollar, central banks lost $340 billion. In your place, would you still be willing to continue to be the receiver of the dollar? Follow my footage straight through this battle royal of the century. Tesla Model Y costs up 37% because of tariffs. Musk moved the production line to Indonesia overnight. But what's even more desperate is China's countermeasures. Rare earth export controls directly jam down the throat of the US military industry. And look at this magical scenario. Vietnam's exports to the US skyrocketed by 200%, that the containers were filled with Chinese parts. Know what this means? The global industrial chain is playing metamorphosis. China's share of exports has fallen from 20% to 13%. The re-exports through Southeast Asia are instead of 18%. Trump's tariffs are like a leaky dam, plugging a gap that's stirring up more undercurrents. Now comes the most dangerous hurdle of all. The dollar hegemony is blowing itself up. Look at this bomb. On one side, it's devaluation to save factories, and on the other, it's dollar-critical collapse. Team Trump is actually trying to push both buttons at the same time. Saudi Arabia has already started selling oil in yuan, and Brazil's soybean trade has switched to local currency. Most damning of all is this figure. The global share of dollar reserves has fallen from 71% to 58%. But White House economist Burns warns we may have misjudged the time lag. It will take 5 years for manufacturing to return, but it could take as little as 18 months for the dollar to collapse. What does this mean? The triple storm of inflation and debt crisis and business failures could land sooner than we think. As the old order collapses, new rules are growing wild. Look at these flashpoints. Southeast Asia is forming a regional supply chain alliance. Africa is starting to swap RMB for infrastructure. And even the EU has signed a local currency settlement agreement with South America. Here's what's even more disruptive. China is using 3D printing to cut chip manufacturing cycles by 60%. And Mexico is using that to redesign car production lines. These technologies are turning tariff weapons into antiques. The best of the best is here. BRICS' new payment system surpassed $120 billion in transactions in its first month online. What this means, the dollar is no longer the only option, and the world is splitting into 8 currency trades. So my friends, this is not a simple trade war. It's a civilization-level order shuffle. 3 trends you must remember for the next 5 years. Regional currency unions, keeping both the dollar, euro, and yuan in hand could become a norm. Technological substitution revolution, 3D printing, AI design will erode the origin advantage. Resource nationalism, rare earth and lithium exporting countries' power to speak skyrocket. A final word of advice. In a roar of the old hegemonist curtain call, There will always be people who continue the knocking on the door of the new world. Please click to follow and don't be thrown off the train of the times.